My name is Goldman. I'm the director and founder of Goldman & Associates. Our firm has a primary focus on family law issues here in Michigan. And today we're going to continue our video series designed to educate and inform the public. So please reach out and subscribe to our channel. We're talking a little bit about Thanksgiving because it's very seasonable, very appropriate. I've already seen, as I drive down the streets, people have their houses lit up. I see pumpkins all over the place. And in the context of family law, all lawyers know what Thanksgiving means. Thanksgiving means that we're going to have to deal with who the child is going to on Thanksgiving. Unlike summertime vacation, where we can divide and say you'll have 2 weeks in the beginning of the summer, you'll have 2 weeks at the end of the summer, Thanksgiving itself doesn't really give us enough time to divide. Now, work-wise, sometimes you look at Thanksgiving and people are leaving early on Thursday, and maybe they're taking off on Friday, and then you have the whole Thanksgiving weekend, so it is a little bit elongated, but sometimes people don't celebrate that day. Sometimes they do. What do you do in a circumstance, for example, where mom wants to take the kid away for Thanksgiving to spend that whole weekend with her side of the family? Well, how do you work that out? Well, there's a couple things I got to tell you. Number one, time is your friend. If you think that that's going to be an issue, you got to use time to your advantage by bringing it to the court's attention in a way where the court can have a hearing, listen to both sides, make a ruling, and it'll still make sense. In other words, you don't want to bring that issue to your lawyer's attention, November 15th. Because there'll never be a time to file motions, get a hearing, and get a ruling between then and Thanksgiving. You want to discuss that issue October 1 and get that before the court so the court can, if need be, make a hearing even before October 1. Have a hearing, hear whatever the issue is, and then decide. So time is on your side. You got to use it. If time is not on your side, you present a problem for the court. That rarely works out well. That's number one. Number two, you got to understand if somebody wants to take the child away and you object, you're going to have to file motions and have the court rule on those objections. Now, in a situation where one party objects to the removal of the child because there's some danger to the child, the court's going to want to know this, and you're going to have to bring it to your lawyer's attention, lawyer file appropriate motions. If it's just a question of, oh, I thought the child was going to be with us, or at least part of the time, and now all of a sudden I hear you want to go away, and that's not fair, well, what do we do about that? Well, I've got a couple suggestions. First suggestion is, see if it can be worked out, even if somebody's got to go away. Maybe they can spend Thanksgiving dinner with one person and then go away for the weekend with the other. In other words, what's the priority? It's very important when you're trying to find the answer to any problem, you got to first ask the right question. Okay? If you ask the right question, that brings in 90% of the way to your solution. If the question is, how can I have Thanksgiving weekend with grandparents, if that's really the question, or the question is, can I find a way to share the weekend, well then we know. Maybe the child can go with dad and his parents for the dinner, and you can split the weekend. They get Friday morning. They can fly out to Sarasota where the grandparents live. That works great. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they can't do that. Maybe the big dinner is in Sarasota, and then it becomes a question of, well, if we're going to do it that way, if the child's going for the whole Thanksgiving to grandparents, then maybe we got to figure out, well, next year, the whole Thanksgiving's got to be with the other side of the family. So, in other words, there's always a way to tweak it and manage it, but we have to find out what are the true competing interests. If the interest is, I don't want you to take it because I'm mad at you, otherwise, if normally I wouldn't care, but since you disappointed me in the relationship, since we're going for a divorce, now whatever you say, I say the opposite, that's not a workable situation. The court's going to get involved and put a quick stop to that kind of interaction. If it's a real problem, though, a real legitimate good faith problem, that can usually be worked out. The key is find out what's important to both, and then see if you can compromise within the weekend. If you cannot, then one person will take the weekend and get the whole weekend. Next person will probably next year the other person get the whole weekend, and so on and so forth until the kids make these decisions for themselves as they become adults. If you have any questions about that, reach out, and we'll be glad to help you out.